Dude, this fucking club kills me. I swear, I age faster because I support Barcelona. I age faster because I support Barcelona. That's a fact. That's a fact, and all of you do that as well. You do that as well. It's a fact. It's a fucking fact, dude. It's ask any scientist. It's just a freaking fact, dude. Today, my patience is done. My patience is done. Why? Because, well, Ronald Koeman can't be no more. He really can't be no more. I said it, I predicted it. I hope, I hope that this is Koeman's last ever game as Barcelona manager. I really do. I really do want that to happen. Why? Because I don't think he's gonna be taking us anywhere. I don't see how Barcelona can continuously improve with him, and I do not want to give him the chance to use this team with the players who are currently injured once more. I do not want to give him that luxury because he doesn't deserve it. He really doesn't deserve it at this stage. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I gave him the possibility to try and change it around. And I think there's one last straw perhaps to that he will have. I think that Laporta will give him that final chance with Dembele, with Jordi Alba, with Pedri, with I don't know, all of those players who are currently out. I think he's gonna get a chance with all of them back. But when we actually talk about proper proper I don't know proper manager, when we talk about a proper direction, I don't think Kuman has it in him to give that to Barcelona. I really don't. And at this stage, I think that it's better for him to be sacked. I really do think that it's better for Kuman to go because this performance against Atletico Madrid is just catastrophic. It really is. An average performance turned into an absolute disaster class by Barcelona. The very same goal Barcelona conceded today was, well, they were parallel to each other. They really were the same goal. And that is something where it comes down to the manager. It comes down to the manager because they don't even know how to attack. They don't know how to attack. Barcelona's best part of the field is the midfield, where you have these young, promising stars like De Jong, like Nico Gonzalez, like Gavi. Gavi today was absolutely incredible, and I think that that is a point that we can rescue. Gavi and Ansu Fati, for me, the best two players on the field by a landslide. Certainly Gavi, of course. And like I say, I think we barely come through in the midfield because of these individual talents. But when we want to talk about, in fact, how the team actually develops completely, and how they play collectively as a unity, it's bad. It's really horrible. As a complete team, as a collection of players together, there is absolutely no coherence, absolutely nothing, no chemistry whatsoever. And I've mentioned this time and time again, and you can see how even the players now. Piqué came out. He said how the situation is dire, how really it is, and it's difficult to come out of it. The dressing room is kind of holding hands together, but I think that they look at themselves completely different and distant from the manager because Koeman, with his constant statements after every single game, every single defeat, he's kind of defending himself, giving an excuse as to why he cannot do his job properly. Like, we are lacking players with to hurt Atletico Madrid to open them up. Yeah, of course, we know that. We know that's gonna happen, but at least try something out, dude. You had the meat in the bench the entire game, and the guy can at least give you something. Try him out. Do something else. Try something. But Koeman is not even doing that. And he's just trying to give his excuses the possibility to shine so that we can understand that. But I don't think any single Barcelona fan is going to be cutting it. It's not going to be good enough for them. It really isn't going to be. And I just can't. I can't do more. And when we see these older players, I was really thinking about how we let go of Griezmann, how we let go of Suarez, and we let go of big name players, yes, but in positions that we didn't need to. Like, I think Suarez and Griezmann, players like that, needed to depart the club, but so players like Piqué and Busquets. Piqué and Busquets today were probably the worst players in Barcelona, and I do not think that it's a very similar thing, or it's not a surprise that they are actually that they were those two players, that they are already kind of in the wrong side of 30, and that they are our captains, and they've potentially played with Barcelona for over 14 years. I don't think that's a surprise. I think we can all see it in them that they've played plenty of football, and it's hurting for them now. And they were bad. Busquets didn't have any energy in him to cover up for the defensive frailties that he had. The back of De Jong was completely exposed, and if you want De Jong to go further forward in those runs, in those attacking runs, Busquets had to cover up. The side of Nico Gonzalez, Atletico Madrid didn't attack through his side a single time. They didn't. They really, really didn't. They went ahead and just changed it up. In the second game, in the second half, as you can see, Koeman, instead of identifying that, he puts Sergio Roberto in, which, okay, I get it. Put Sergio Roberto in because he might at least give you some more energy for the right wing, right mid position or whatever. But that wasn't the substitution. The substitution, if you at least wanted to do that, was to take out Busquets and put Roberto in because Nico Gonzalez was having a great game. That is what I do not get from Ronald Koeman. He just wants to make his team worse. And he's putting players like that, or Frankie de Jong, like playing de Jong for a right midfield position. I know you're lacking players, but if you had Busquets behind him, he was never going to defend. And literally the 2 goals came because of that. Came because Busquets couldn't defend, Frankie de Jong was exploited, and then Mingueza, of course, for the right-hand side as well. He was going to be completely open because we know that he's a fullback that has troubles when it comes to understanding when he needs to push further forward or come back in defense. And that happened time and time again. So Busquets, you have to be out of the starting 11. You really, really do. And that is one thing that I believe a lot of you are going to be at least comfortable with me saying, because in reality, he was bad. He was really bad. Piqué was so as well. Those two, they were bad. They were real bad. So, how are you feeling, guys? How are you feeling? How are you feeling, guys? Let me know. What do you think this game entitles for Ronald Koeman, for Barcelona as a whole? Here we have Alwyn Wilson saying how to improve our defense. Even though I hate Koeman so much, changing the manager can improve or change Garcia into Van Dijk, and we also need a very strong defensive midfielder too. I agree with you, Alwyn Wilson, on that one, but like I said plenty of times, I think that there's a pretty easy misconception when you think of the defense. Of course, Eric Garcia is not Virgil van Dijk by any means, but when you want to have a better system, you want to have a complete pressuring system. That's what you want. You want to change the entire team so that collectively you can defend a lot better. And when you do that, the ball is not going to be exploiting someone like Eric Garcia, for instance. Today, Ronald Araujo was playing real bad, but because he was left in one-on-one duels where the opposition, like Joao Felix or Griezmann in the second half, got the best of him because they were running out of open space to him. And to get into those positions for the get-go, like to even get into those positions to begin with, something had to go wrong in the midfield. So that is where I want to say that I think that's the main issue. The main issue is that collectively this team doesn't have any synergy. They're just all over the place. There is no chemistry. And that is where a new manager has to come in and improve, because that is not a problem about players. It really isn't. When you think about formation-wise and the system that Barcelona play, I cannot describe you what they do. Every single game they change formation. We played today in a new formation from the last game and against Benfica, and then in the game against Levante we played a completely different one. In 3 games we've changed 3 formation with 3 completely different 11s, and that tells you completely that this team has no lack of consistency, and they're being affected completely. I think that, for instance, getting a new defensive midfielder would be good, but I think that De Jong could do a equal, if not better, job than what Busquets is doing right now at a CDM position. That is where I would put Frankie de Jong. I would get you could get a new central defensive midfielder by all means. You can really go ahead and try and do that, but would that really change anything? I'm not too sure. But that's where I think we're headed. I think we're headed into a situation where Busquets and Piqué are undisputable starters for whatever reason. I like Busquets, I like Piqué, but they're no longer what they used to be. They're no longer at that level. And if you want to have them at that level, at least, you have to play a better collective system, but you cannot get that better collective system because they're still in the side. And you find yourself in this huge dilemma where you have these old players that you want to keep, but then you have these young players that you want to play. And Koeman doesn't do any. Koeman doesn't go to any extreme. And that's why the title of this video. you find Koeman in it, and you find yourself like, what can I do to improve? What can I really do to improve? Nothing. Nothing. They really can't do nothing to improve. Because like I said, the manager is one bit of the problem. But then player selection is not one, in my opinion. It really isn't one of the problems. If you give me a chance, just give me a minute, guys. I have to do something with the video because I have to change this. Vivian says, Buga, this is how it's going to be all season long. I get that. Omar Asil says, Coutinho was the only creative one in the attack today, to be honest. Could you comment on Laporta publicity back in comment today? Yeah, I'll talk about Coutinho and then we'll talk about Laporta a little bit. Yeah, look, I think that, for instance, Coutinho did a really good game. I didn't understand why he was taken out. I really don't. I think Coutinho was one of our more creative players, and actually he was at the end of probably one of our two best chances. I remember that shot from outside the box in the first half, which he shot with his kind of like inner 3 foot. That was a really good shot. And then, of course, the one in the second half that Gavi completely like tore down Mario Hermoso. He went through 1-2 tackles and then crossed it into Coutinho, and then Coutinho, well, didn't finish. That was, of course, his mistake, I guess, overall, but I think Coutinho was good. And I think that if Coutinho continues improving and playing like this, I think that he should be a starter. In my book, right now, we need more creativity. And we don't have the luxury of those many players to be better collectively. Like, if you think about Gavi, Nico Gonzalez, all of these players, they are youngsters that Barcelona are relying to for creation. And before, Barcelona were not even close to doing that. Barcelona had plenty of tools at their disposal, plenty of players that could come in and create. And now it's just Coutinho, a player that has been neglected for the better half of 3 seasons now. And now he has to be an important player for us. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit of a change in spectrum. Of course, it's going to be difficult for a lot of our players to carry that mantle that Messi had. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen sooner better than later, because at this stage, we're not gonna get anywhere. I really do think that Barcelona is struggling right now because we are struggling to find that consistency, like I said. And no player is really getting that. And that's what I mean. Coutinho is starting one game, Coutinho is then benched the other one. Why don't just play fucking Coutinho for 3 matches in a row? Like, just give him something. Gavi's getting that consistency, which is good. But then you have other players that I know there's a player in them. I know that Coutinho can be good. In a good system with a good manager, I know Coutinho can be better, but with Koeman, it makes no sense. With Koeman, we are going absolutely nowhere, like I said. We really aren't improving. And according to, what were the other thing that you were mentioning? Laporta. Laporta's comments, I think that I think Laporta's comments of backing Koeman make sense. And I think it's probably because he doesn't have a replacement. I think that if Laporta had a replacement, if Laporta had the possibility to change up the manager at this current stage, he would do it. But we don't have that. We don't have that manager who could come in and replace whatever the fuck we want to do with Koeman, right? So if it is Pirlo or whatever, or give me a minute. So no matter what manager we bring in, no matter what we do, I think we're gonna struggle no matter what. And yeah, so Laporta. Sorry, my mind got completely just out of. Me equivoqué, okay? Me equivoqué. Yeah, Laporta. So Laporta's comments, of course, it's gonna be backing Koeman at this current stage because there's no replacement, and it makes sense. But I do still feel that Laporta wants Koeman sacked. Like, I feel that if I was in the same position, I would back the manager. It's all politics at this stage. Football is politics. Everything is politics, to be honest. And Laporta is just saving his skin. He's just trying to ease the waters. He's trying to give us a message to all Barcelona fans that, yeah, Koeman can turn it around and we need to support him. But that isn't going to happen. The changes I think Laporta is doing are worse. But the fact is that Laporta cannot sack Koeman right now because there isn't that replacement. If there was a replacement, he would certainly be sacking him, but there isn't. And I think that's where there's an issue. I think that as soon as potentially Laporta finds a replacement, Koeman is going to be sacked, but it's probably going to be a while since until we do that. What else? Leo John says, Buga, what do you think of Collado? That was a disaster from both Laporta and Koeman, so frustrating. Yeah, I know, right? And I think that Collado is following is like a worst representation of what happened with Ricky Puig last season. And I think that this sort of mismanagements is what's going to bring Barcelona to sacking Koeman more often than not, because it shows that there's not a clear handle of him on things. There's a clear evidence in that Koeman doesn't make the decisions, and or he doesn't make the decisions, well, not all of them, but he makes some, and the ones that he makes are bad, and the other people that are making the other decisions doesn't trust Koeman to do them, so it's like a complete mess. There's no synergy between Koeman and the board. The club is in divide, and that is not perhaps what you want. That's not exactly the opposite. You don't want that at all. You really, really don't. Jeff Palacio says, bring Ernesto Valverde back. Honestly, Ernesto Valverde wasn't that bad. Will you take Valverde for Koeman? I think I would, because Valverde would do something different. I think the thing is that people are too harsh on Valverde, because Valverde had a plan. But that plan wasn't what Barcelona fans wanted to see. And also Valverde realized that his team was bad, that his team was different, that he couldn't do the same sort of big open plays like Barcelona were used to, because Suarez and Messi were not as good defensively as they were before. He knew that, so that is why he had to play 4-4-2. And right now, potentially Valverde would do something different. But once again, we have to remember, guys, that this team is much, much worse than that one that Valverde inherited. Like, that team at least had Suarez, Messi, Coutinho, Dembele. You could have Griezmann in the team the other season. You had plenty of players that are far better than what we have right now. Like, Barcelona off the bench can only bring Nico Gonzalez, Gavi, Demir. That's it. Like, and the other ones are injured, so I think we also need to recognize that. Today's irony: Suarez got the goal for Memphis losing the ball and Barca facing counterattack. Yeah. And Kuka Mokweke says, there isn't a replacement. Sure about that. How about Xavi, an interim coach? That's the thing. There isn't one. Like, interim coach is your decision that they have to take. And an interim coach potentially comes in the decision where they do not find a coach. But you cannot simply sack Koeman and then say, okay, we're going to put an interim coach. You need to have an afterthought after that. You need to have another manager that you can bring in. And Xavi, right now, Laporta doesn't want Xavi for whatever reason. He thinks that it's too risky, or that if he uses Xavi now, he runs out of options. So it's kind of like you lose all faith. Like, what happens if Xavi takes over and then Xavi does a bad job? What are Barcelona fans going to even be thinking or wanting? What would Laporta do? There's no way that you can appease anything, because Xavi was supposed to be the answer and he wasn't. So you're kind of left with this very with this kind of, I said black, but it's not black. It's like, what's the word? Blank. Like you're left with a blank space, that a vacancy that no one can fill it. And that's a problem. I think that's a problem. That's a real problem with it all. Tony Ames says, all of our captains are crap anyways. All either too lazy, past their prime, lacks leadership, slow like a snail. Usuf Kone says, Laporta wants Koeman to resign, but that won't happen because Koeman thinks he's the man to handle the situation. Look, I understand that Koeman thinks he's the man to take the situation. I think that's good. I think any manager could back himself in doing that, but Koeman won't resign. He won't. He really, really won't. And when we talk about other points like during the game that I think show how far Barcelona have come down, is that when you take a look at Barcelona, for instance, after conceding the first two goals, and that Suarez goal particularly, it just put Atletico Madrid in a situation where particularly they just had to defend and counter, and that's it. And you can see that all of the times that Barcelona after that defended, it was mostly okay, because we fixed those opportunities, those mistakes that happen in our back line. But then after that, Barcelona cannot create anything. And like I mentioned in the game against Benfica, it's really simple. This Barcelona team is really simple to beat. The only thing that you need to do is to sit back, defend, and attack on the counter. That's all you have to do for Barcelona to beat Barcelona. That's all you have to do. It's really simple because you know they are not going to be able to create anything. Before you could rely on Messi coming in deep, Messi picking up the ball, trying to link on something with these youngsters like Ansu Fati before Ricky Puig, maybe even in the games that he featured. But after that, he just disappeared. He's just disappeared because Memphis Depay is not going to do that job, and when he doesn't have any support whatsoever. So Messi even would struggle in the same level. Coutinho, I don't know, man. Coutinho's struggling a bit. I think he can get back to his level, but he needs more time. But then in the front line, there's nothing. And to create, sometimes you just not need individualities. Barcelona right now relies a lot on those individual players, on Memphis, on Coutinho, all of those players, those players to have some spark, those players to come in hot, those players to have a good day. But if they don't, Barcelona can create. And right now you're seeing how far Messi carried this team, because Messi most of the days has a day. That's what I mean. He has a good day. Most of the time that Messi plays has a good day. And the few moments where Messi had a bad game, well, Barca were potentially going to lose or draw. And now when you see how much Messi affected this team and how far down these players are in terms of quality, you're not going to have the same of consistency. You're not going to have that ability to turn draws into wins or losses into draws. And that leaves you with a very big gap, I think. And it's just really sad to see. I think that we have to get accustomed to the level that Barcelona are right now, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, one game puts Barcelona in the fourth place or fifth, sixth, somewhere along those lines. Barcelona should potentially finish fourth or third. That's kind of where they want to finish this season, 100%. And it's still achievable. It's still achievable, but it's gonna take some time, and it's gonna take, in my opinion, those players to come in and then somebody to find a system. Could Koeman find a system? I don't know. I think that Koeman may have one plan in place, because if he's demanding so much to give him time until we see him with Dembele back, for instance, and the other players coming in, he may have a system in place. But I'm not too sure whether he will have the time to do it. Then the other part that, of course, a lot of people are going to be mad about is how Barcelona seems to create just from crosses all the time. And that's, of course, why Luke de Jong can be dangerous. But we haven't even seen a header from de Jong yet, I think. Luke hasn't even gotten a header. And that's bad news. So it tells you, like, once again, where Barcelona are. Madden Season says, Real Madrid are never scared to shoot outside the box. I don't even know why Barca never tries to shoot outside the box. Yeah, it's kind of like their philosophy. They just want to pass. They just want to pass to find a perfect opportunity through the middle. But Barcelona don't have that. Rishab Kubar says, Real Madrid did amazing keeping Benzema center field when Ronaldo left, while we letting go of both Suarez and Messi. Now no one is there in attack. Memphis takes too much touch. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Memphis takes too long on the ball, and sometimes you need to associate a little bit more with your players. And it's fine. I like Memphis trying things, because most of the time he tries things. And Ansu Fati did so as well. I think Ansu Fati and Memphis together for longer periods of time in the game, with Coutinho as well, will be good. I think that, once again, for me, the best team that Barcelona can put out potentially includes Ter Stegen, Dest, Araujo, Eric Garcia, Jordi Alba, De Jong, Pedri, Coutinho, Ansu Fati, Dembele, and Memphis. I think that's the best thing that Barcelona can put out. Gavi could come in for Coutinho. I don't really care who plays there, but I think that Coutinho could also give us that. I think that from the midfield players that we have, only Gavi and Coutinho can give you that little bit of spark, that trickery that Barcelona are lacking. Plenty of times that Gavi had the ball today, he really impressed me. He really, really impressed me. Klasim says, let's be honest, man. Most of the players, they're lazy. How many times to lose eyes on the player they should mark? They don't know how to track and close space when they lose the ball, and it's the coach's job to do so. I agree with you. That's what I mean. People are going to be blaming the players because they're lazy, they're this, they're that. But I don't think any player at this stage in their career in football, I do not think they're lazy. But I think that physically, they're not as prepared as the other guys. I think that Barcelona trains less than other teams. I don't have the information, but there were reports saying that Barcelona trained like 4 hours less. And perhaps the training sessions are not as intense or whatnot. I don't know the ins and out of that, but I think that Barcelona needs to do better with the fitness. I really do think that. I think they should improve with that. I think they should really restructure the team from the ground up from that point of view. They need to make the team more physical. Once they make the team more physical, and that, I think the next point is that you talk about how the manager's job is to show them the mistakes that they're made, and I'm not too sure Koeman thinks that is a problem. I don't think that Koeman looks at this at how easily it's for these players to get overrun, or how easy it's for these players to get beaten on a one-on-one, how bad they have, how bad they do physically, how real bad they do physically. I think that is something they have to change. And when you see the players that actually do good and run more and more physical with our team are players that do jobs outside of it, like Araujo, Memphis, and Sufati. We know that they all train outside the Barcelona's facilities, and I think that takes you a long way to realize who is more professional than the others. And that is where they need to improve on. I don't think any single player is lazy, but I do understand when you say that they are, because it looks that way. It looks that way because our team is not physically matched up with elite footballers right now. They are not. You can see it on the field, and those who you can't see it is potentially because they do things outside of it, outside the normal training sessions. Intranocte says we could use a Fir Agüero too. Luke De Jong is not a pro player. I think that Agüero would struggle in the same way, because you could bring Agüero, but Agüero won't even get the ball. Agüero won't even get the ball like Luke De Jong does. They won't even get the ball. Either of them won't get the ball. And then I don't think De Jong is a bad player by any means. I really don't think. I think people are being too harsh on Luke De Jong. Whenever I see him play this season, the only bad match was against Benfica, where I think he could have finished those chances. But against Levante, he was okay. Against Bayern Munich, even, I think he was. I don't mean, what I'm trying to say is that he wasn't amazing by any means, but he wasn't as bad as people say, and he certainly wasn't terrible. He certainly wasn't the worst player on the pitch that day. And whenever he gets the ball, he's good. Like, he does a job for Barcelona. I think that is what just he was brought in here to do. Barcelona don't have that options to play other players right now, and Luke De Jong is just one of the possibilities that they have. So I really wouldn't be even mad with that by the moment. Keysen says, do you think Gavi, De Jong, Coutinho will be a good trio midfield, or is he too vulnerable defensively? I think it would be okay. I think Pedri should be included somehow. I think Pedri should be good to go and ready to go, honestly, from his injury. But like Leo John just said below, says, Buga, what do you think on Pedri's management? Another relapse injury. I know. I said how that day when it was announced that Pedri wasn't going to play this game because of injury, I was really surprised that there wasn't really much news covering that about Pedri being injured. Sorry, 1 second. Oh my god, these messages. So I think that is where they need to be a little bit change. I think Pedri and the management need to come together and really understand how much football this guy played last season. I think that is one of the issues that why he's having this injury now. And most importantly, like you said, I think that Koeman shouldn't have played him against Benfica. It made no sense if he's just gonna get injured the next game. So yeah. Buga, it's official. Koeman destroyed Puig confidence completely. What do you mean? I think Eric Garcia will do wonderful center back under a ball dominant system. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he will be good no matter what. But it's exactly that. You need to have a good system in place for him to be able to excel. The person who disliked this stream is Ronald Koeman. He's watching you. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. And the worst part is that, Koeman, I don't hate you. That's the part. People think it's too serious. I don't hate Ronald Koeman. I think he's done a job. I think he's done a job for Barcelona. But when you want to continue improving, perhaps he's reached his ceiling. There's no problem in that. There's no problem in saying, I completed my job here and I'm done. And if he doesn't think the job is done, well then, fair play, prove me wrong. I have no problem in saying that you can prove me wrong, but demonstrate it and give us hope. When you comment on those comments, when you do those comments in press conference, change them, be a little more aspiring. That's kind of what I think I would guess you could say. I hope he could say. What happens with this? I wanna find out the press conference or what Koeman had to say about this game because it's hilarious. What is it? Apparently, Koeman just killed like killed off Nico Gonzalez. Like Ronald Koeman just criticized Nico Gonzalez in public, but I think Nico Gonzalez was doing really good. Where did he said that about Nico Gonzalez? Can you find that, guys? Can you find that? Because there are people saying that he just he came out and I don't see where there's information. I don't find it. I don't find it. I really do not find it. Anyhow, back to the stream because I couldn't find the information on Twitter. I really couldn't find it. Klasim says, let's be honest, most of the players they lazy how many times to lose their player. Okay, I already read that. I already read the game. I feel like Koeman would start Pedri if he was coming back from a 10-month injury and make him play 90 minutes. Why the fuck Nico played well? Yeah, I think Nico played good today. I think he was one of our best players. He should have honestly taken out Busquets first than Nico. KDHD says, I think that the young and Nico in a double pivot is the way to go with Mingueza and Araujo at center backs. I mean, we could try that. Like I said, I think the young and Nico in a double pivot wouldn't be that bad. Honestly, it wouldn't be that bad. It wouldn't be that bad. No, it wouldn't because Nico is far more defensive than Busquets. Of course, he has to improve a lot because on one-on-ones he gets beaten so easily. He's not there yet in terms of his defensive contribution and all of that, but I think at the end he's gonna improve. Although Araujo is a great prospect for us, he needs to work on his positioning while our defense line moves offside, but Araujo gets switched over on those given Benfica preseason also. Yeah, I think that's true. I think Araujo, that's a very good point that Kumar just raised about Araujo. Araujo is really good, but he just switched offs. Boba says we need Braithwaite. And you know what? I'm not even gonna disagree with that. I think Barcelona could use Braithwaite right now at this stage. We need something. We need something. And Braithwaite being injured, I mean, Barcelona could certainly be using Braithwaite. We could be using Braithwaite. While Sal Sangma says, feels like the captains had a clause to start games to agree the pay cuts. That wouldn't be something I could pass. I wouldn't put it past. Leon Forrest says, hey, Buda, what's your view on Laporta possibly keeping Koeman for entire season due to financial issues? Dude, if Laporta keeps Koeman for an entire season, I get it. I wouldn't be mad at Laporta. I would just be disappointed because, once again, it's how far this club has come. But we must remember that in the long term of these things, this season, I don't think we're going to find the solution. This is not something that you can fix in a season. And when we're really thinking toward the long-term perspective of what this club can give, there are certainly more things that a new manager can provide. So, yeah. Koeman said, we lack players who open up the field more, and this against a rival like Atletico Madrid is very noticeable, so Puch would have done better. Yeah. Like Kisen says, what Barca lacks now is intensity. When they high press, Atletico backline was comfortable to deliver long passes today. Yeah. Busquets isn't a full intense match anymore. He should be subbed off in the 95th minute IMO. Maiden Season says, Buga, please your coach. Buga by Mongo Man BW says, Buga, what do you think about the new position Laporta is creating? So let's take comments. Who do you appoint? Okay, people want to see who would I appoint. But talking about first that position, I think that position is really good. I think that we needed that for a long time. That is a position that, for instance, Bayern Munich have. I know the doctor, she's a woman, I think like 36, 37 years of age, but she does a really good job. She's like, she prepared the Olympians or something like that. And You can see honestly at the training sessions that they have at Bayern Munich are tough. Like Alfonso Davies, even Coutinho when he came back, Lewandowski, all of those players were wow physically, and I think we need something like that. So, why is the club union Roberto Sweeney Emerson back? I don't think Emerson will be back. Busquets should control submarine after winning game to control possession. Yeah, that's a thing that Barcelona should also try and do. Joshua Junior says, "Do you think we will get top four because we play Valencia next and we have a game in hand versus Seville?" I don't know, dude, but those games against Valencia, Real Madrid are gonna be hard. Are gonna be real hard. It's gonna be real tough. That El Clásico is gonna be real tough and really demanding. And maybe who knows? Maybe Koeman doesn't even manage those. So I'm gonna be wrapping up this live stream, guys, because like I said, I have plenty of videos covering these next few, well, instances of our team for the future, and I just have to admit that, well, if I have to bring in a manager for now, look, do I trust Marcelo Gallardo? No. Roberto Martinez? No. Pirlo? No. If I could get a manager out of any manager, this is what I would do. I would get Antonio Conte, because I think that Conte is a winner and he would demand a lot from the club and a lot from our players. And if you can get Antonio Conte for this season and the end of the next one, let's say, so that Xavi can take over in 2022, like I always say, I think Xavi in 2022, that's his year. I think that not this season, but the season after that, I think that is where Xavi takes over. So the end of this season, and then we start the next year, 2022, after the World Cup. So 2023, sorry. I think that is where Xavi would come over. And if you can give Antonio Conte that sort of room and space to do something, I think Barcelona can steady the ship for a while longer, and then we will see some. Then we will see him getting at least trying something new, you know. And I like that because I feel confident, and that's what I want. I want to feel confidence, and not a single manager strikes me with confidence. Not even Xavi. Not even Xavi strikes me with confidence. I think he will strike me with confidence in the long term, but for the moment, not yet. He doesn't strike me with confidence. I know that Xavi is the way, but I don't know if it's the way right now. If you know what I mean. Like Suarez said it. Plenty of people say that Xavi is the way. Xavi is the fucking way. Don't get me wrong. Xavi is the way, but I don't know if it's the way right now because I think Piqué, Busquets, they have to go before Xavi takes over. That's how I think about it. I think that Xavi needs to take over after Piqué and Busquets leaves, and I think that Piqué and Busquets can leave next season, or they should at least leave next season. They want to play potentially for the next World Cup, and that's it. Or that's how I could see it. So that's kind of what I recommend. I think that this season doesn't really matter. The next one after that is the one that does. And the one after the World Cup is the most important one. So that's kind of what I'm thinking towards. I think that someone to steady the ship for now. I think Conte will be good. I like Conte. I really like. I think he's one of the top managers in the world. Yeah, Conte demands a lot, plus he's expensive for Norway, especially mid-season. I mean, of course, you're asking me which one I would get. I would get Conte. If you can find a way to get Conte, I would get Conte. If not, let's say if Conte is not available, and only all the names that I've heard, Pirlo, Roberto Martinez, Ten Hag. I mean, Ten Hag could be the same thing, like get him next season, but I'm not too sure either with him. I would get. It's hard. It's real hard. You know what? Fuck it. Get Pirlo. I don't know, dude. I really don't know. I think that in a very similar situation to Conte, Pirlo can do a job like that. I think that Pirlo is very similar to Rijkaard in what Laporta did when he brought Rijkaard in. But once again, I do not get Pirlo. Like, there must be something with Pirlo that he want to play Seista and he says, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play this. That kind of strikes a little bit of confidence in Laporta. And I guess if Laporta wants that, sure. Right now, what I want is the manager and the president to get along. That's my first priority. I really do want that. I want that to be our first priority. I think that's just what I want, and hopefully Barcelona can get that. Hopefully this soon, next season, some season, I don't know, but soon. And with that, guys, I'm gonna be ending up this live stream. This game was certainly not what we anticipated. I think this Piqué, Busquets, they have to go. Roberto cannot play anymore. Roberto, literally, the moments he came in, he put in the worst passes of the game. Gavi is the way. Ansu Fati is the way. Memphis Depay, needs to have better support around him. Araujo had his very first bad game, and we need to stop switching formations. And it's getting repetitive. It's really getting repetitive. It's getting repetitive. I hope something changes for the better. I hope this break helps us. I really, really think it will give us a breath of fresh air that we need. And yeah, guys. Yeah, that's going to be it for me right now. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.